Now, Srila Prabhupada, he perfectly imbibed this understanding of Yukta Vairagya, and therefore he wanted to establish a beautiful, attractive temple whereby the whole world would be attracted. And we are all sitting in that beautiful temple. This Krishna Balaram temple was Prabhupada's attempt to attract the entire world to Krishna consciousness. And he used all of the same philosophy that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati used. For instance, right behind our temple, and at the same time as the inauguration of the temple, Prabhupada made a 44-room guest house with a restaurant. That's because Prabhupada knew that people would not be prepared to live like the 6 Goswamis when they came here to Vrindavan. So he wanted to make very comfortable accommodations for the visitors. He also made, actually Prabhupada didn't make any arrangement for where the brahmacharis would live. They were going to just stay in the temple room. But then the architect, Sarabi, he knew that the devotees wouldn't be able to live like that, so austerely. So with the 44 rooms on the outside of our guest house, Sarabi Swami on the inside, in the courtyard, he built 12 rooms to accommodate about 20 brahmacharis. That's, of course, we don't need it anymore because we have our big brahmachari ashram, but that was where the brahmacharis lived previously. Otherwise, Prabhupada was expecting them to, after they're finished their service at night, they would put cots up against the wall, and then at nighttime just put the cots down and sleep there in the temple room. Because, as we saw, as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati saw, as soon as there was a beautiful temple, everyone started fighting for the rooms in the temple. And that was when he started to make rules, because, as later we'll read, he confided to Srila Prabhupada, confided to him that if I could sell all this marble and use the money to print books, I would do it. Because as soon as there's a beautiful residence, nice place to eat and sleep, people will take advantage. So he made very strict rules for living within the ashram, both Srila Prabhupada and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He stopped. He saw that the brahmacharis, they wanted to become sannyasis because the sannyasis were getting extra milk, special prasadam, they had a servant to massage them, they would go and preach in the cars. So that's why the brahmacharis wanted to become sannyasis. So then he smashed all of that. He said sannyasis can't have extra milk, they have to take the prasadam that everybody else is taking, they can't have servants, no massage, nothing special, they have to serve all the residents of the temple. And if you're going for preaching, you can use the temple car. But if you're going for your own work, you have to go barefoot. You can't use the temple cars. So he saw all of this, and it depressed him very much. And we have to use the comparison. Srila Prabhupada, just after the temple opened, he was only here for 20 days for the grand opening, and then he had to make another world tour. He came back in 3 months, and immediately he saw that whatever collections were coming in were being used for the feeding of the devotees. And he said, don't turn Krishna's Lakshmi into your stool and urine. He was very, very concerned that we don't make this into a joint mess. Joint mess, Prabhupada explained, is when a few workers get together and they pool their money together and they have one place for eating and then they go and do their work. Don't make the temple into a kava dava dukan. So he said, we're not here for eating and sleeping. He gave the example that now I have a place to sit, so let me lie down. So he wanted everyone here living in Vrindavan to have a purpose here. If you don't have any service, then we have our guest house. If you want to stay, you can pay. Otherwise, 24 hours you must be engaged in temple service. And if you don't have any temple service, we have the 24-hour kirtan, Kirtaniya Sadahari. So Prabhupada made it very strict. He told us that we had to live like Goswamis here. But still we had this beautiful temple that was attracting so many people. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, because he was trying to reach out to the Westerners in those days were the British. They weren't following any rules and regulations. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he said, even if we have to feed them meat, anything to get them to visit the temple. And when the devotees heard that, when Prabhupada said that, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said that they were completely shocked. That, you mean you want us to serve meat in our restaurant? Prabhupada said, no, we'll never serve meat. But the people might find our rules and regulations a little difficult. So those who were staying in our guest house, although no one was allowed to make tea, of course, in the restaurant, and we're not allowed to drink tea. What Sarabi did was he made little kitchens. And for people who couldn't live without tea, they could go to those kitchens and make their own tea. Or Prabhupada said in front of our guest house, in front of our Gurukula, we could have a little shop for tea and they could bring their tea in. Because he knew how difficult it was going to be for people to live without tea. So he said, they can drink their tea. That's all right. And then he even said, we can even have a smoking room. Because in those days, smoking cigarettes and bidis, it was very common. It's not like now when they realize that it's killing people. There were no, it was the fashion to smoke. He said we could have a smoking room in our guest house. We never did that, but he even went that far to make it comfortable for the people coming from Delhi and Agra and all over, especially for the Westerners, that they wouldn't feel a pinch from too much austerity here, just so that they could take part in the temple activities. So all of these concessions, Srila Prabhupada learned from his spiritual master.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.